this now? Okay, I started the video.
Okay.
Okay.
We should start the audio.
I will start the audio.
Hello again, and welcome back to the Unbreakable Podcast, where we are still not Brian and Leslie Fatheree. We are still the four siblings because we decided to do an impromptu little podcast reminiscing about growing up together and interpersonal relationships and therapy.
We've decided not to mention therapy, Megan.
Too late now.
So we don't have a script for this one. We're going off script.
Mm-hmm.
Mom did not give us nice little bullet points to record this
it's true.
from. And so we're making this one up on the fly, which I'm sure our parents will appreciate later when the editing process of this podcast.
It'll be great.
It'll be great.
They always learn brand new things about us when we do this.
Right? It's true. Okay, so let's start off with, I'm the oldest. I'm Hannah, just as a refresher. And then...
I'm the second. I'm Megan.
I'm the third. I'm Scott.
There is a fourth. It is Matthew. He is overcoming autism, so he is not in this podcast with us today.
I'm the baby. I'm Abby.
She's number 5.
In case you couldn't count.
There are, in fact, 5 of us.
Yeah. But one is not here.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so that's a refresher on who we are. I, being the oldest, have been the one who has welcomed all the rest of them into our family as they were born.
And prayed for our hair.
And prayed for... Yeah, that's a fun story. I used to pray that all of them would have hair when they were born, because I had hair when I was born, and so I felt that they should all have hair. And they all came with hair. I prayed the same prayer for my children, but only worked for 2 of them so far.
But you're 2 out of 3.
But I'm 2 out of 3.
That's pretty good.
So those are
pretty
good odds. Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Abby?
Yes, Hannah?
Let's discuss the fact that there is a large gap between you and Matthew. So you're 5 years apart.
Yeah.
Whereas the rest of us are much closer in age.
Yeah.
True.
So what is it like being that much younger than the rest of us?
I don't know. It's just normal for me.
It's just normal.
Just how it's
Was
how
there
it's always
ever a
been.
time that you thought it was, like, weird?
Not necessarily weird. There were times where I kind of felt left out because y'all were so much older than me. So, like, you got to do things first, or, like, you would go do things together that I couldn't do yet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that
And
makes
so,
sense.
like, I just, like, would be like, why don't I get to do those things? And then
True.
Mom would be like, well, sweetie.
They're adults, and you are not.
So I think that's really, like, the weirdest thing about it, I guess.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just normal.
Because you're used to it.
Because I'm used to it.
Yeah. When Abby was born, I was 12, almost 13.
Almost. Very close.
And so I knew how we got Abby, and that was weird for me.
That's always your comment on that.
It's still weird for her.
That's weird. I choose to not remember that part. But
she keeps bringing it up.
I know. But my point to bring it up was the fact that you gave me lots of good practice for my kids later.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
because I actually remembered doing things like changing your diaper and stuff.
Oh, hey.
from
See,
you.
I was
The
helpful.
other ones I don't remember helping like
Yeah,
that.
I was helpful to you.
You were.
Yeah.
You were. So thank you.
I'm just great like that.
I do remember that it has been just the 4 of us for about 5-6 years whenever they announced you, and so I was like, but there's 4 of us, and there's supposed to only be 4 of us, and it took me a couple weeks to get over that.
And then you got this lovely little gift.
Sure, we'll go with that.
Let's talk about the fact that because there were originally 4 of us, our parents paired us off. So, like,
Yes.
Hannah was in charge of taking care of Matthew if we were going somewhere, or
Mhm.
Mom and Dad had to go somewhere and leave us at home. And I was in charge of Scott, which kind of resulted in us being...
We bonded.
Our mother calls us twins 3 years apart, so...
They share a brain.
If that
It's
tells you
scary.
anything.
It's because they're middle children.
It's true.
Yes, because I was old enough to where I could
Yeah.
help with Matthew with certain things that you couldn't yet.
Yeah.
So you guys just played together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Loads of fun.
Loads of fun. And yes.
And then I was just the baby.
Yeah, it was,
You were-
like, you came along and we're like, who's going to take care of her? We already have our pairs. But, I mean...
It
we're
worked out.
alive.
I think we kind of just broke up the pairs at that point and said, somebody quick, grab the baby. Okay, so, fun fact, we were all homeschooled.
It's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've mentioned this once at least.
Oh, at least once.
Okay, so let's talk about our favorite and our least favorite part of being homeschooled.
Ooh.
Okay. Favorite part of being homeschooled? Honestly, I like doing stuff from home. I got to hang out with everybody and get my stuff done. And Mom was really helpful with me because sometimes my writing wasn't good, and she'd be like, "No, you got to fix that." And she was very helpful and observant over me and helped me get stuff done that I'm not sure I would have gotten at a public school.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair.
I think my least favorite thing would probably be lack of, as the only boy that can't do stuff, I had no access to sports. Except for Dad on Saturday, we'd watch sports, but
Sure.
I couldn't, there were not a whole lot of opportunities for me to go and play.
Right.
And
That's fair.
that was kind of hard.
I think my favorite thing about being homeschooled was there was a set amount of stuff for each day. And if you got it all done, you could go do whatever you wanted. Like, you didn't have to sit in a classroom for the next 30 minutes because you were the smart one and you got all the things done and you have to wait on everyone else. You could just finish all your work and then do what you wanted to do. So that was a good part of homeschool for me because I tended to finish some subjects really fast and others slower. If I have to pick a least favorite part of homeschool, it's not actually like the homeschool itself. It's the fact that I had to do geometry. Which was the only subject that I ever almost failed. Like, I think I got a D in geometry. Only subject that I almost failed.
Yeah,
I
that
feel
sounds,
that
Yeah.
myself.
that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, before I do my favorite and least favorite, they're all mad at me because Mom didn't make me do math for my senior year of
No,
high
you
school.
didn't.
I didn't do math for my senior
No, senior
year
year
either.
never had to.
Actually, no, senior year I didn't.
No, because she stopped me at pre-algebra though.
Oh, she
Yeah.
did?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I did remember. Yeah, I was mad about
I
that.
stopped math earlier than all of them, and Mom didn't make me go further because I was just that bad at math. And
For
they were all
those
mad
of
at
you
me.
listening, Abby had a brain glitch. So she didn't learn quite like other people.
No,
Yeah.
like literally.
It's true.
Yeah,
but
and
it's
it
funny
was
when you say it
actually
that way.
very hard for her to retain information
Yeah.
for a really long time. So the fact that she even graduated at all is in itself pretty miraculous.
Yeah,
true.
I also almost didn't make it through this part of my life. Anyway, so favorite thing about homeschool, I think that schedule was always flexible,
Mhm.
and that like I could kind of choose when I did my topics as well. Like if I
Yeah.
wanted to do something earlier or do something later, I could do that. And so it was just very flexible, and I think that was definitely helpful, especially since I did have the brain glitch, so I could make it work for me. Least favorite thing about homeschool kind of goes back to the age gap thing, was that I didn't have anyone to do school with.
Yeah.
Because all y'all did school together, but I
Right.
didn't
Yep.
have anyone to do school which was frustrating to me because I'm a people person. So I probably would have done better in school had I had someone to do it with.
That makes sense.
Yep. So
Hannah.
My favorite part of homeschool. This is very hard. I am very big on homeschooling. I homeschool my kids now. That's how much I love being homeschooled. I'm gonna say that my favorite part of homeschool was probably the fact that we got to do a lot of creating things.
Mhm.
So
Yes, yeah.
we have pictures of all of this, but don't try to find them because I would rather not they be on the internet. But we read all of our Greek dramas in togas.
Yes.
And we
Good times.
created shields during the medieval time
Mhm.
period when we were studying medieval time period, and made our own family crest on them.
Yep.
And we learned we did plays as the Pilgrims and Indians for Thanksgiving
Every
For
year.
years.
for
Yeah.
years. There's way too many pictures of me dressed as a pilgrim person. I'm just saying. And my other favorite thing was we would learn because we would learn the things that we had to cite while doing all of this, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
so it wasn't just that we got to make all the things or wear the things. It was also that then we were quoting Shakespeare while wearing,
Yeah.
whatever outfit, or reading Aesop's fables in our togas, or we learned Silent Night in German.
Yes.
Because do you remember this?
Very,
Okay.
very, very.
So
low.
I liked
Vague.
the dramatic part of
Yeah.
homeschool.
Understandable.
I guess.
That's fair.
My least favorite part of being homeschooled, I want to cheat and pick a topic like Megan did.
It wasn't cheating.
Well, okay.
Bending
so
the rules.
math is just not my strong suit, but I could do it. I would say my least favorite, being an extrovert. was that was just that we did only have like friend time when we went to go see friends. You know what I mean? Like, I would have gladly seen my friends 24/7 as a child. So that was probably a downside, but it really wasn't that big a deal because
like you still had the friends.
I still had friends. It was just I didn't see them all the time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's the only like. Well, I guess the other downside was Mom made us get dressed. She wouldn't let us our work in our pajamas.
Yeah.
And all my friends used to be like, "Oh, I'm so jealous you get to do your schoolwork in your pajamas." And I would look at them and go, "Are you crazy? My mother makes me get up and get ready in the morning." And they were like, "Oh, never mind."
Yeah.
Mom always held that it was school just at home.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I still have that. I told one of my friends at work that the other day, and she's like, "Really?" Like, she's like, "You got to wear your jammies and stuff that would have been so nice." I was like, "Oh no, hold on. No, you don't know my mother."
Yeah.
I'm gonna add another pro and con. The pro is all the books that we got to read, some of classic literature and really good stuff that helped us out.
Yeah.
And honestly, we were probably reading 2 or 3 grades above our grade level at different points.
Yeah.
But that was really fun because we all like to read. The con is having to deal with all the people that you make friends with who aren't homeschoolers.
Yeah.
This is a real problem in the life of a homeschooler
because
as an adult.
you have to argue with them the pros and cons of public school and homeschool at a very early age, and you have to you have to know why you do it.
Yeah.
And it's just you have to deal with the same arguments from everybody that you make friends with.
Okay, so the number one argument is what?
The number one argument is
What
no
about
socialization.
socialization?
Yeah. But you have to work harder when you're a homeschooler to socialize. So I think that we have it better than public schoolers.
Yeah.
Because all their
We
socialization.
actually have to make the friends.
We have to go out and do it, and they are just like
Handed friends.
handed people to hang out with.
That's true. I looked up the definition of socialize one time.
Oh, did you?
I did.
This doesn't surprise me.
I am that person. And it actually means to make fit for the social realm.
Really?
And if you go look at the good dictionary, it probably means something else now that they've changed all the definitions. But in like a
we read
legitimate
antique dictionaries, people.
in the legitimate dictionary. And I thought that was so interesting because whenever people argue about the socialization thing, what they're really saying is you're depriving them of being with kids their own age all day long.
Yeah.
But how is that making them fit for the social realm?
That is a good question.
Wow,
So-
that was deep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if someone can answer me that, I will gladly have the conversation.
I
Absolutely.
have no answer.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
No, I think you just mic drop right
Mic
there.
drop,
We can
right?
just-
Yeah.
We can just end the podcast there. That's it. That's the
That's it.
episode.
Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad. That's the end.
All right. Well, what's some good interpersonal memories that we have from growing up together?
I think we should share like a good one and a bad one.
Okay.
Ooh.
Well, since you got that. Ball started.
Well, because it's not. We haven't all always been this tight. Like it's a process.
That
Yeah,
is
definitely.
true.
That.
And I
Hannah
think-
tried to kill me once.
Okay.
We're not going to get on that topic right now, guys.
I have my quote bad memory because this just cracks me up. Is Megan and I were always very, very close.
Yeah.
For our whole lives.
Yeah.
We were very close. But when I got into like junior, senior high, and I was getting ready to graduate, it got really tough because I was like becoming an adult, and she was still stuck in high school.
Yep.
And so we bickered quite a bit that year, and
Yeah.
my mom was not
Having
happy about it, and I can appreciate where she was coming from, and she's gonna kill me for telling this on her podcast, but I remember this so distinctly because it's the only time in my life I remember my mom cussing. She looked at
did.
Megan and I and she said, "Quit being."
What?
Yes. And would you please stop being? Fill in the B word there.
Yeah.
And she had just had it, I think. I think
I
we had
think-
pushed her.
yeah.
We broke her. We broke Mom. We broke
I
Mom.
mean, it accomplished the point because we,
We
shut
were-
up real fast.
We were very shocked. We instantly quit talking. And we were like, we broke Mom. This is not good.
Side note, we're still best friends. It's great.
Yes. So that's my bad story,
Yeah.
quote unquote,
Yeah.
because I just love that story so much. Our mom is wonderful. She never did anything else that I can even think of that would be close to that.
Nope.
But that one time, man,
Right.
we broke mom.
Yeah.
Megan and I together. It was wonderful.
I think a lot of the tough times came from each of us trying to like transition into a new season of age range.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because like one of my bad memories, and I'm overcome it now, was that Scott actually cornered me literally and was like yelling at me in my face. He got in so much trouble for this because he was being so aggressive toward me, and it's just because he was trying to like grow into his puberty.
Yeah, right.
And he did not choose the right way. He has not yelled at me since then because our father yelled at him about it, and it was not pleasant for anyone involved.
Yeah.
And as a clarifying note, I don't remember doing this to Megan, but
I
it
remember
has.
watching.
But I do remember the punishment for doing this to Megan, and that did scare the bejeebies out of me.
That's fair.
I remember this one time we had, this is a good memory to be honest. But whenever we lived in the little greenhouse in Creve Coeur,
Yes.
so Scott had the Parmesan and we were trying to get it for
Oh, yes.
for the spaghetti that we were having, and he would not give it to us, and we were all shorter than him, right?
That's right.
And so he's like, he has like his hand above his head, trying like not giving it to us. So Hannah and Megan like tackle him. They're like trying to drag him down, and they're like, Abby, get the Parmesan. And so like they're like pulling his arm down, and I had to grab the Parmesan and run with it.
See, guys, we are actually siblings.
So I do remember that, and my logic behind it was Abby ate way too much cheese as a child.
You know, I couldn't eat very much.
And I loved her, but she had put so much Parmesan on there, and my thought was she's just gonna eat this entire thing of Parmesan.
Oh,
And
wait,
so
so you're saying you still wanted to have some?
Yes.
And that's why you did
Why
it.
I wanted her to stop, and I
You
wanted.
could have just asked.
No, I couldn't have at that point in time. I wanted her to stop because she had a pound of Parmesan on this thing of spaghetti already, and I wanted to keep it because at that point we were stretching food a lot, just because money issues and shortages of food, and so my thought was save the Parmesan, save the family.
Oh my god.
And I'm sure my heart was in the right place, but I probably definitely went about that a little wrong.
Moving on, next story.
Next story, good memory. We had us a time growing up. We were always fighting or playing or doing something, and usually within the span of one day. Like, we would fight over something, and then Mom would make us sit and hold hands, and then we would get up, and we'd be fine. And so there are a lot of good memories of doing stuff. One of my favorite, I don't have this very specific memory of like good times, but like family game night was a thing for years, and I always loved that. One of my love languages is time and spending time with others, and I love my family, and so whenever we did family game night, I was like, yes, this is fun. This is where I want to be, and so and we always all got along during family game night. I think like we were very competitive, and so we focused on the game. And there was no bickering unless we were fighting over the rules, aka I was fighting with Hannah over the rules.
Yeah.
Which really comes into play whenever we're playing like Trivial Pursuit or Seen It. Me and Hannah can't play Seen It together because we all end up arguing about the movie. Last time we did that, we ended up arguing about the order of the Jason Bourne movies.
Which had nothing to do with the game.
Which had nothing to do with the game, but family game night is always a fun time. No, it was a youth group. I was 14, 15. You were still at the church. And we were playing Seen It with the youth group and everybody.
I don't remember this at all.
And like the question was about the Bourne movies, and you listed off the movies in the wrong order, and I was like, no, that's not how it goes. It's like this, and we argued for 5 minutes over the order of the Bourne movies.
Totally totally didn't remember that at all.
And then I got the question right after arguing about it, and Hannah was mad at me that night.
Well, she likes to be right. That's true.
But yeah, there were a lot of good times, I think. But definitely we've gotten a lot closer as the years have progressed.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like we should talk about how Abby and I used to hate each other so that y'all know there's hope if you hate your siblings.
Yes, so
Yeah.
as a point of order, we all, because of age difference, I think a lot of times, and Abby being very strong-willed and choleric, she wanted to be in charge.
All the time.
And all of us are older than her, and so we're like, no, you can't be in charge. We're in charge. And this
She didn't
led,
like that.
No.
this led to about 10-ish years of us just fighting all the time.
And it was worse with me and Megan because me and Megan are such opposite personalities. Because she is so nice and just so sweet. And she's so sweet-spirited and just very delicate, like a little flower. And I'm so bullheaded. So just my personality and her personality did not mix for a long time.
At all.
At all.
Because I also didn't know how to control my personality.
Yep.
At all.
At all. And I will be the very first person to admit that. So it was a struggle growing up, and I think partially because I was so much younger than all of you, that I wanted to be in charge because I felt like you guys were always doing something else, like away from me. So like I was like wanted to do my own thing, but I was still, you know, a kid. So everyone,
And when she says a kid, she means like she was 2.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's true.
Dad always tells the story of whenever were we at the
Grocery
grocery store?
store, yeah.
Yeah. And I was like 2, and I was in the cart, and they left the cart for like a little bit.
He like walked back up the aisle.
Yeah, walked back up the aisle, and I just was like, what was that? I just like put my arms up. I was like, I'm in charge.
Because you were finally by yourself.
Because he told me that I could be in charge whenever I was by myself. And
She took it
so
literally.
I took that literally.
I don't remember this.
Yeah. it
I
was
don't
really
either,
funny.
but I know that Dad tells the story all the time.
So for those of you who have a terrible relationship with siblings, there is still hope. You can still reconcile.
So
Yeah.
what did that process look like for you guys?
Oh.
I know it took a lot of time, but like how? What were the steps?
Well, step 1 was our mother, being a great mother, the wonderful woman she is, sat us down and she's like, okay, we're going to pray this through because I'm done with you two fighting.
Yeah.
And so we sat and we actually prayed and we're like, okay, where did the wedge between us begin?
Yeah.
And we prayed over that and we all came up with the same answer. And so we're like, okay, let's just pray that, smooth that over. And I think that removed the wedge, but then there was still a healing process. Like,
Yeah,
there were
sure.
still days where we fought because we were just on each other's nerves.
Yeah.
And there were still days when we wanted nothing to do with each other. And then gradually we started finding common interests and we started to realize that, hey, this sister of mine isn't so bad. And
Yeah.
now we're friends.
I think it also helps because when I started getting older, and so the maturing on my part definitely helped because I learned how to control my personality and I learned how what I do can hurt others. And so I learned how to speak to Megan in a way that didn't hurt her because she's a words person,
Right.
and I knew that, and I used that to my full advantage whenever I was being a brat. And it hurt her a lot, so I had to learn how to speak nice words to her and how to control myself. And even whenever she does frustrate me, because she does still frustrate me sometimes,
Right.
I sometimes have to just walk away
Yeah.
and take a deep breath because it's just, I don't want to say something to her that's going to hurt her,
Yeah.
so I remove myself from that situation.
So in that particular like maturing, did you have to like kind of, what I'm hearing, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that there was almost like a manipulation kind of going on there where you knew you could manipulate the situation because you knew how she was.
Yeah.
And so instead of choosing the higher road, you just chose to manipulate to get your way. Is that like,
pretty much.
Yeah.
And some of it was I remember distinctly describing it to Mom because she would always pull me aside whenever I threw fits and got in out of control.
Right.
And she would always pull me aside. I remember describing it to Mom like someone else like took over my body pretty much.
Yeah.
So like once I got going, I couldn't stop myself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it was definitely a learning process of how to control that
Mhm.
and how to stop myself
Sure.
from continuing down the wrong path.
So
Lots
just
of
like,
Jesus,
lots
lots
of
of
Yeah,
Right.
lots of Jesus, a lot of praying, and it was a lot of decision on my part to
Sure.
make sure to decide I'm not going to do that.
Mhm.
So lots of like growing in self-control.
Yeah,
like, that was just
definitely.
a lot of what
Yeah.
you had to focus on. Was
Definitely,
that
yeah.
area.
Yeah, and it was definitely hard. It was a
Sure,
process,
yeah.
and it was really frustrating to me because I wanted to be able to be nice to her,
Uh-huh.
but like I
felt like you were incapable
but
of
like
doing it.
it felt like I couldn't.
Uh-huh.
So it was really frustrating because I wanted to be nice. I
Right.
just wasn't being nice.
Right.
So I had to learn how to control that and how to
Yeah.
fix that problem. And that was something that I had to work on between
Sure.
me and Jesus.
Yeah.
And my relationship with him growing to help my
Yeah,
relationship
and
with others.
even with me knowing that, I had to, with my personality, work on understanding that she wasn't acting that way because of me. It wasn't my fault.
Right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
So yeah, we did
lots of growth.
hate each other, but we both
We're good now.
Yeah, we're best friends now. Like
It's actually slightly creepy.
It is. Some days.
Some days I'm like, don't know if that's safe. Okay. Yeah, that's the thing.
I think we all have an Abby story where you got on each other's nerves to
Yeah.
the point of yelling and
Yeah.
screaming and
Yeah.
fighting.
Yeah.
I love Abby, and I've always loved Abby. She's loved me, but our time together has not always been peaceful.
No.
She has once tried to stab me in the back with a knife because
Oh,
I
it
wasn't
was
doing.
actually it was the butt of the knife. It was like the butter knife. And
I-
it was like the handle. Okay.
Guys, why are we confessing to attempted murder?
It wasn't attempted murder.
It felt like attempted murder at the time. I turn around and I don't see that she's doing this. I see that she's got it like this.
Yes,
And I'm like, Abby, you don't stab people with knives. And I lit into her, and she ended up crying after that, I'm pretty sure,
I did.
because I yelled at her pretty hard. But
Yeah, well, it's a
And-
knife.
And then
It
we have
is.
Hannah's favorite Abby story.
The one where she threw a chair at you?
I love that that's your favorite story about me.
Listen, I had nothing to do with this story, which is why it's my favorite story.
Mhm.
I had left with Mom and Dad to go do something. I don't know what we're doing. Grocery shopping, most likely, because there's a bajillion of us and we eat a lot of food.
It's true.
That is true.
And so we came back, and Megan was sitting in front of this bedroom door, just sitting there, reading a book. And we were like, where's Abby? We were a little concerned she had killed her. And she goes, oh, she's in there. And then we hear Abby start like kicking at the door. And so Mom opens the door and she's like, what is going on? And Megan goes, she threw a chair at me. Well, there's this like small chair, like this kid chair in the room where they were. And she had thrown it across the room. And so Megan had locked her up in the bedroom. And
Now,
just-
to be fair, Abby was like
I was
5
gonna say, I
at
was
the
like
time.
5 at the time.
Yes.
Like I was
She probably
little.
couldn't have like injured me too badly,
Right,
But I
but-
was having none of it.
So, being the oldest sibling who walks into the other two having this fight, I found it hilarious. I was like, she threw a chair at you? That is the funniest thing I've heard today. I wish we had it on video.
We do
So,
not.
I found that very entertaining.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that it wasn't entertaining for both of you, but
It's okay.
the
Oh,
joys of
and
being
then
the oldest.
the other favorite story that you have, Car.
Oh, the one where you were the only child that actually got spanked?
Yeah.
My parents, you know how parents are. They say things in the car like, do you want me to pull this car over? They say that. And you know that means you stop what you're doing because Mom and Dad don't like it and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
But Abby did not know that, apparently, or she chose to ignore it. And so my dad actually had to pull over and discipline her, not once, but twice. We were 10 minutes from home. We were on a 10-minute drive, and we had to pull over twice within those 10 minutes.
Are you angrier that we actually had to pull over? Or are you angrier that we were so close to home?
I'm not sure, but I was honestly slightly impressed because I was like, don't you know that just means you just stop? You just stop what you're doing.
That has always been my thing with Abby. When she was younger, I would say she's much better now. When she was younger, she would push buttons, and I'd look at her and be like, Abby, if you just shut up, you're going to survive. But did she
never
just shut up?
No.
No, she never just shut up.
I love how now he's made this a survival skill.
Right.
That's how I thought about it. Even as a
Yeah.
kid, I'm like, okay, Dad and Mom are both angry. This is what you do. You say, I'm sorry, and you shut up.
Okay, but this is coming from the middle compliant child.
That is true.
Listen, I
That
like
is
people
true.
to get along with me. I am not as much of a people pleaser as I used to be. But whenever you are a people pleaser, you learn how to survive in hostile
True
environments.
story.
AKA, people are mad at you.
I didn't care.
I
I
still
had no cares to give.
But I guess the great thing about this is, even though we hated each other at points, we all survived.
And
Yeah.
we're all here
Yeah.
laughing about it now, and I
Yeah.
think that
Yeah.
says a lot.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad used to always tell us, or at least Mom used to tell me, I don't know if she said this to any of you, but she used to say to me all the time, your siblings will be your best friends when you
Mhm.
grow up.
Mhm.
One day they will be your very best friends, so be kind to them now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's kind of the gist of what we've been sharing, is that we are all friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
have each other's numbers. We don't always use them when they should be used, but we have each other's numbers. We talk, we text,
Mm-hmm.
we love one another. They're the best aunties and uncle to my children. One day when they have children, I'll be a good auntie to theirs.
Yep.
And it's worth it to invest in making your kids get along when they're little,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can sit and laugh about stuff like they're
Like almost dying.
like almost dying and being locked up in a bedroom by their sister when they're grown.
Yeah.
And so I think that that is the sentiment of what we've been sharing, is that, you know, our parents raised us in a manner to help us to become best friends one day.
Yes.
They raised us with that end in mind and didn't just allow small fights and bickering. They taught us how to get along, even if it killed them at certain points.
Yes.
And now we're all grown adults who can love each other and handle one another and have good interpersonal skill.
And we
It's
have
true.
each other's backs.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're trying to say through all these fun little anecdotes.
Yeah.
I'd like
Yes.
to also add on to that Matthew being overcoming autism, we're all very protective of him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like very protective of him. He is very much one of us, and we don't usually exclude him from things. We treat him as normally as we can.
Yeah.
He is still one of our best friends,
Yeah.
and he's included in our sibling
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
funness.
Yes.
But like me and Megan always talk about how whenever someone new walks up to Matthew, we can always tell that someone new is walking up to Matthew, because you can watch all four of us just like tense up, like, is he gonna be okay with them, or like
Like,
do we
do-
need to intervene?
Do we want them to be around
Yeah.
him?
Yeah.
So we're all very protective of Matthew because we care about him as well as one of our siblings.
Yeah.
And so it's not just the four of us that are best friends. He's one of our best friends
Absolutely.
too.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Good add-on.
So now that we have entertained you with our childhood stories, it is unfortunately time for us to go for today. Thanks for listening to this whole thing and all our rambling. We hope you enjoyed it here today on the Unbreakable Podcast. Remember to like and subscribe. And someone, maybe not us, but someone, we'll see you next time on the Unbreakable Podcast.
Beautiful. I love it.
Mom and Dad will enjoy that one.
Oh, they
right,
will.
they're just gonna